Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast Season 2. This week we're discussing the episode of Angel, Parting Gifts. This episode originally aired December 14th, 1999. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
Alrighty, and this episode originally attracted 5.64 million viewers, so slightly up from last week. Now, Dave, what was the number one movie in America this week?
See,
We're
still from here into December.
like a week and a half away from Christmas.
Yeah, with that.
I
I'm thinking with Pixar and whatnot, Toy Story 2 would probably have some staying power, but again, with that year, not sure if there's anything else that immediately comes to mind that would have topped it.
Something is going to top it, but
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's nothing that I can remember from that time that immediately jumps out to me.
So the number one movie in America this week is Stuart Little.
Also, I'm not surprised. Again, I figured that was earlier.
That is released in December of '99.
Okay.
Yes, so makes sense. It's a family film. A lot of the families have probably gone to see Toy Story. There's a new one out. It's going to do well around Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty, number one song in America. It's Still Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
Because of course it is.
Of course it is. Okay. Now for video games. Technically, the next episode we're talking about doesn't air until the middle of January, but we're only going to cover the rest of 99 today.
Okay. Going from there.
Okay. So, December 17th. I don't normally cover releases in Japan, but I'm going to this time because it's
Best
Mario
one of
Party
them
2.
ones. It's which one?
Mario Party 2.
Ew, my goodness.
Yes. And any chance we get to talk about the Mario Party games, it makes me very happy.
Very much so.
But there's this was a rocking good year. December 20th, Crusaders of Might and Magic. Specifically on the PC, the PlayStation 1 version came out next year.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with this game.
It's vaguely ringing a bell, but I'm not sure if I have it specifically. Is it another one of those particular D&D ones that's there, or is this from a different series?
I don't think it's technically a D&D game. Oh no, sorry, Might and Magic is its own universe, but it's a D&D style game.
Okay.
On the same day, December 20th, we got Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure.
Also not surprised, but not one of the ones I've touched.
No, it's on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which nobody has ever touched, so you would be forgiven. Dave,
Yeah, you kind of have to think, like, out of all the particular systems that you could have supposedly gotten, who most likely got it at that sort of time?
Well, yeah, because I mean, you're competing with the PlayStation 1, the N64, the Dreamcast is still going, the PS2 is just out or just about to come out. You've got the Game Boy Color, like, you've got a lot of competition to launch a system this time.
Yeah.
December 22nd is the release date for one of my personal favorite games. You have any idea what it could be, Dave?
Vaguely.
Do you want to take a guess?
Actually, no. Like, the most that I could come up with supposedly a Jurassic Park one, but even then, I'm not too sure.
See, the problem is there aren't many good Jurassic Park games.
Yeah, that's true.
There's like maybe one or two. No. It is a little game on the N64, Harvest Moon 64.
Ah, yes.
Which, such a good game. I adore it. I wish it had done. I wish it had actually sold well in America, but unfortunately,
well, it's also one of those particular things. I'm not sure if it was it or if there was a predecessor before it that had that same sort of game style, but just the case that how much of a thing it is today with its game series and how big it was to have this game just when it released and then after it sort of fell off, how much people searched for it.
So there were actually two Harvest Moon games prior to this one.
Okay.
There was
No, I'm thinking that's understandable. Something either in the PlayStation era, I believe.
no, actually, it predates that. So the first one came out on the Super Nintendo in
Okay,
'96,
no, that makes sense.
and there was one on the Game Boy in '97.
Yeah, that also makes sense.
I've never played the Super Nintendo or the Game Boy versions though. But
Archaic sort of version on the Super Nintendo one.
it's one of my favorite franchises.
No, that's definitely understandable with its style and just how popular it is nowadays with Stardew Valley as one of the big indie ones that's out. Just all other similar sort of styles or how it's mixed in with a bunch of other bigger series.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Animal Crossing is kind of similar. Um, and there's Story of Seasons, which is technically, I think, the same franchise, just been renamed, and there's a rights thing to do with it. I'm not entirely sure. But
I think it also adds a little bit more dungeon crawling RPG elements to it.
yeah, I don't think I've played any of them, so I couldn't say for sure. We're
Hmm.
not done for this year, though, Dave.
Nah, not too surprised.
December 29th, this little game came out for the Dreamcast.
Hmm.
It's called Shenmue.
Oh boy. Oh, again, a series I have never played, hardly know anything about, but just knowing with the absolute fan base and love that this supposed series has, just whew.
Okay, so I'm going to say something that might be controversial, but I don't care. I never played Shenmue back in the day because I didn't have a Dreamcast.
Understandable.
I tried playing Shenmue 1 last year. If you are get
Okay, also understandable. I question how you got the means or how it got into your hands without the mass intensity to supposedly pick it up.
No, so they did the when Shenmue 3 was coming out, they ported 1 and 2 to like PS4 and maybe somewhere else.
Okay,
I think they
either
also went to
PC or
PC. So I tried to play it on PS4.
hmm.
It is not a good experience if you've never played it before.
I can vaguely understand since from the vague memories I understand of it, it was kind of random exploring and lots of the interactions were kind of what's the word? Quick time events.
Oh, I barely got into actually playing the game. I bailed out after like the first cutscene
Mm.
because oh boy, is the voice acting bad.
Just with the English dub.
I mean, I can only speak to the English dub because
Yeah.
I don't speak any Japanese. But oh, is it bad?
No, understandable a little bit within that time. Like there's the couple of good ones, and then there's just like we understand that you're most likely on a time crunch to get these particular games out, but at least give yourself a couple of days. Don't leave it to the last day and be like, okay, everyone from the office into the room. We need to get voices and lines all printed out for the game.
Yeah, like don't get Greg from accounting to voice the game. Like actually hire a voice actor and give them
Are
more
you
than one
kidding? They
take.
pretty much get everyone from every department to do every single one of the lines, and then they just pick and choose whatever works.
It's bad. Anyway, the next day we got another game. Another one which you probably aren't familiar with, but it's released by a studio you might be familiar with. So there's a game that came out called Battlezone 2 Combat Commander. Now, I don't
Okay.
expect you to be familiar with this game. It was a PC exclusive that It was like a tank shooter kind of real-time strategy game. But
It's understandable for the time, I suppose, but yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
it was released by a studio that you might be familiar with. That unfortunately is no longer around, called Pandemic. Familiar with Pandemic?
It somewhat a bell, but I'm not exactly sure from where.
Okay, so this was their first game, but they would go on to do some much bigger stuff.
No, not surprising.
Now, from here, they did a couple of small. They did like a baseball game and a couple of like Army Men games and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
they really broke out with a couple of games that you might be familiar with.
Hmm.
2002, they did a Star Wars Clone Wars game.
Okay.
2004, Star Wars Battlefront.
Ooh.
Oh, Dave, the hits keep on coming. 2005, Destroy All Humans.
Uh, oh.
I'm not done. 2005, also in 2005, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, yeah.
2006, Destroy All Humans 2.
No, that
They
makes sense.
they were releasing other games at this point. I'm just picking the bigger ones.
Yes, yes.
2009, they did a Lord of the Rings game, and then their final game in 2009 was called The Saboteur. Which
Okay.
did you ever play The
I,
Saboteur?
not with Saboteur, no. I do recognize the name and remember seeing it on store shelves, but it was also a case of not something I was interested at the time. I think the question I have was around this time with any of those particular sorts of studios, some were typically picked up by larger companies and added to their ranks. I'm curious if that's what happened to this one or if they just sort of fell out with how sales were going.
So EA bought them in 2007 and closed them in 2009.
Ooh.
I'm assuming that people were just then put to other studios in EA, but it was a typical EA move of let's buy them and then just close them down. Because, they
Ugh.
actually made good games.
Hmm.
Yeah, The Saboteur is a game I've always wanted to play, and I wish it done better because it sounds like such a cool concept.
Because I believe it was spy oriented, but
Yes.
again, with how many other five particular games that were out at the time, I can't specifically think of a niche that this one had.
So here's the gimmick for the game. It takes place in I want to say 1940 in France. You play as a French person, a French spy. This is like after the Nazis have occupied Paris. You're working basically with the resistance, and the
Ah,
goal
yes.
is for you to like sabotage like German military equipment and all sorts of stuff like this throughout the city,
Okay.
which sounds like
No,
such a cool idea.
I'm having vague flashes of either watching an old walkthrough or little bits of gameplay that I vaguely remember seeing online.
Yeah, basically how it sounds like such a cool concept, but unfortunately it apparently did not sell very well.
Is it one of those tougher ones that's kind of harder to pick up or
You know what?
a
I
little bit
actually
harder to
don't
find on
know.
this?
Let's pop over to eBay and see how expensive it is. Why did I put the eBay? The Saboteur. I might have spelled the Saboteur wrong. I definitely spelled the Saboteur wrong. The Saboteur. Um, Lowest price first. It's not crazy expensive. Like you can pick it up for the 360 for like $15. So yeah,
It's in the back.
it's not super expensive.
No. Anywho's, before we get too much more lost within any other additional games for this
There's
year's
there's
releases.
one more game.
Okay, one more.
Um, that came out on December 31st for the Dreamcast. It's a game called Zombie Revenge. It was a port of an arcade game. It was a spin-off of the House of the Dead series, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Didn't get amazing reviews or anything. Well, it seems the arcade version did, but the Dreamcast port did not fare nearly as well.
Yeah, with coming over to other places from that, and then just the cutbacks that they most likely had to did from switching from an arcade system onto a home console,
Yeah,
could be a little.
you always had to downgrade a lot.
Mm,
Yeah. Anyway, let us discuss this episode.
very much within the episode.
15 minutes in. Anyway, so the episode starts with Angel going back to the oracles to reverse them to ask them to reverse time again so he can prevent Doyle's death, but they won't help him, citing that Doyle sacrificed himself to save Angel's life and that bringing him back would make the gesture pointless. Angel protests that Doyle, aside from being his friend, was also his only link to the powers that be. Cryptically, the oracles tell Angel that when one door closes, another door opens, before waving him out of their realm.
Yes, Oracle, because the simple cookie cutter saying that just about everyone in the grandma says that when something bad happens, it always leads to something good, doesn't always flip and apply.
Also, could you not just, tell him what's happened? Why do you have to speak in riddles?
Because they're the bloody oracles and they have to use all the stupid nonsense to not give you a straight answer.
Apparently. Okay. Back at Angel Investigations, Cordelia is is looking for something that's tangible to keep a memory of Doyle. Angel tries to be understanding, but Cordelia shies away from further discussion of her feelings until her watch beeps with the reminder that she's scheduled for an audition. But, I mean, if it wasn't a national, she would totally just blow it off. But it's a national ad, so,
Yeah.
Right. When she opens the door to leave, the demon being chased by a motorcyclist is just coming in to ask Angel for help. Sending Cordelia on her way, Angel tries to discern whether or not he can help this demon whose name is Barney. Which, I love that his name is Barney.
Barney, demon sort of look with the horns and the little ear flops.
Yes. Proclaiming himself an empath demon, Barney admits that he used his ability to read people's emotions to give him the edge at cards or at the fights. I love that. He's like, well, I needed to make some money, so...
I've seen similar things within video games and other sorts of things. If you have the ability to, why not cheat?
Exactly. Yeah, Angel bluntly identifies Barney as a cheat and wonders whether the guy on the motorcycle might have a good reason to be after him. Barney protests that even though he's not perfect, he's not evil and can't imagine why this guy has tracked him across state after state. At her audition, Cordelia breaks down sobbing in the middle of her reading, and then, when the three producers generously give her another try, she suffers her first vision. We will find out that Doyle basically passed along his visions to Cordelia, because, who else was he going to give it to?
Understandable, he was gonna supposedly die, and if he had the ability to pass it on to a person, why not?
Yes, and basically, Barney will go on to basically explain that, hey, Doyle trusted you with, the most precious thing in his life. You should probably not, be too unhappy about it.
Yeah, since kind of the case that with all that stuff that happened, she didn't get her role for the commercial.
No, she definitely did not. So we find out that the man on the motorcycle is, in fact, Wesley Wyndham Price.
Because of course it is. As soon as you mention the name, all the particular stuff from last week, just the case of...
But it's Wesley.
Yes, it is Wesley, with all of his particular acrorisms and trying to be tough, but no.
He's failing at it miserably? Are you trying to
Not
say...
miserably, but he's attempting, and the attempts are not going well.
Are you trying to say that you don't believe Wesley is a badass?
He's taking the steps, but he is a ways away.
Dave, he is at the other end of the court on this one.
Quite honestly, he's on the other end of the court on the bench.
Angel assumes that the council has fired Wesley, but he says that he quit, and now he calls himself a rogue demon hunter, even though he doesn't really know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Wesley's just one of the ones of, yeah, he's stepped out into the actual real world, and he needs to discover what it is, but oh boy, you need to go through so much more, sweetie.
Yes, and well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. So basically, what happens is they realize that initially they think that the demon they were tracking that Wesley was following was being tracked by someone else. They kill this other demon. Well, they wound this other demon. They then later find out that demon, in fact, basically switcheroo here. The demon that Angel is currently protecting ends up being the villain. He takes Cordelia hostage in an attempt, after finding out that she has the visions from the powers that be, in an attempt to sell her eyes at an auction. Because he is involved with this auction where they sell off, like, illegal, like, demon shit. So, like, this one demon that
he was tracking.
Yes. He shot with an arrow. This other demon had, like, cut off his horn because you could, like, stab someone with the horn and it drains their life force or something. So he takes Cordelia hostage and intends to auction her off. More specifically, her eyeballs.
Because that's the thing. You don't need the specific powers that be. It's just the eyes that have it.
Apparently, yes. Barney opens the bidding for the seer's eyes at $2,000. When the bidding slows down at $11,000, Cordelia gets offended.
I can't remember all the details, but just with the two competing, just goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. The one guy raises the bid, demon winning sitting next to him, smacks him in the head, knocks him down. It's like, I'll put up my bid.
Okay, so Wesley and Angel find the hotel that she's at and arm themselves to go rescue her. While Wesley and Angel zero in on her location, Cordelia buys time by inciting a bidding war between two patrons. When the contest proves lethal for one bidder, and the matter seems to be settled at a substantial $20,000, which has Barney excited. The representative from Wolfram and Hart, however, suddenly bids $30,000. Barney, not understanding how auctions work, instantly bangs his gavel and closes the deal.
Yeah, because on the one hand, in movies that supposedly works, but in actual auctions, you gotta give people the times.
Yes, Cordelia is now the law firm's property, and Wesley and Angel are nowhere to be seen. Done, done, done.
That and the fact that they're going to tear out their eyes from the sounds of it.
Yes, we go, I guess the best term is backstage, where Barney is like, right, here's the seer. The lawyer from Wolfram and Hart is like, right, pluck out her eyes, that's all I want. Barney's like, no, that's an extra. You got to pay me an extra $1,000. Which they argue about for a while for why. They take the extract. They're about to like remove her eyes with this like 3-pronged extractor, which looks fucking terrifying.
Teeny bit.
Yes. At that moment, a body comes flying through the curtained doorway, and Angel and Wesley, who have worked their way from the front of the hotel to the back behind the tulip room, follow immediately after. They have a fight. Bad guys get defeated. Wesley is, well, I mean, I guess he's technically useful, but barely. He does manage to ungag Cordelia.
That was there was just a miracle in most cases.
Yeah, he's not terribly useful in a fight. Just as Wesley and Cordelia are headed for the nearest exit, Barney attacks Wesley. He starts to scold him for trying to butcher an innocent girl. and then threatens to thrash him. And it's like, Wesley, people have seen you. This isn't going to work. In the ensuing struggle, Barney quickly gets the upper hand and starts to throttle Wesley. Cordelia grabs the talk horn, which is from that other demon, stabs the Barney in the back, and drains his life force, and the body shrivels up and blackens and kind of sinks away. Angel dispatches
No
the last...
demonstration of the stuff you were selling.
Exactly. Although I think it's a one-time only use.
Yeah.
Angel dispatches the last of his foes, and when an overjoyed Cordelia flings her arms around him, acknowledges Wesley's invaluable assistance. I feel like you could... I feel like Wesley wasn't that valuable.
Well, the case of his easy access to understand the knowledge and run through all the information that they have at their disposal, and his small translation skills that he has with speaking with the other demon.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He was able to translate for that one demon. He was actually useful. I forgot. Back at Angel's apartment, Cordelia sits at the kitchen table and irons out her drawing before framing her ugly gray blobby drawing as a memento for saving her life, as a reminder that something of Doyle's will always be with them. Moved, Angel silently sits back to the stove and continues to scramble eggs, while Wesley finishes packing up his things. As Angel moves around the kitchen, Wesley makes his farewells, wistfully drawing out his departure to give the other two ample opportunity to join, to invite him to stay. Angel, who has already made a plate out for Wesley, says breakfast. Wesley accepts, and the three friends enjoy each other's company as credits roll. So what did you think of this episode, Dave?
It turned out fairly interesting in the most case, with kind of the turn of, oh man, the demon that Angel was protecting was actually the scumbag that is causing the problem. Also interesting just with the other places that they went to, the spa bath area that they went with the demons, where the other demon was dying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
but
there's
then
like a
I was
demon
also
bathhouse.
With stuff like that. Then just little surprised, but then also like, yeah, I shouldn't be that surprised that there was demon auction and that those sort of things were going on. And then, of course, just with Wolfram and Hart being there, and just it all makes sense.
I mean, what do you have against Wolfram and Hart? They've never done anything evil ever.
Yeah, not as of yet, but they're just kind of the big bad in the shadows in that sort of case. And just with Wesley being back, on the one hand, it's good to see him back, but it's still a case of he still has his character from the last couple episodes of Buffy, and just cases of trying to be the badass that he needs to be with the series, but nowhere near close.
Yes, Wesley, he is going to have a lot of time to grow in this series.
But as it is, it's good to kind of build up a bit of that dynamic, see the crew as it sort of is, and it works out with things, though they definitely could stand to have a little bit more muscle on the team for what they've been doing over the last while.
Yeah, so Wesley's going to be obviously a member of the team moving forward. He's going to be our new... He's basically going to replace Doyle as the third member.
Yes.
So a little bit of fun trivia for this episode. This is the first episode where Cordelia kills a demon. Specifically.
No, that's true. Stabbed him in the back.
She has killed a vampire before, but not a demon. She staked a vampire, if you don't remember, in Graduation Day Part 2 on Buffy.
No, I was surprised with all the stuff that went on.
Because that was Graduation Day Part 2 and pretty much everybody killed somebody. Yeah. Cordelia hangs a sketch of her first vision on the wall in a tribute to Doyle, although it might not be there for long. Let's just say. Is there any other trivia I want to... Because I kind of have to read through it before I say anything, because I'm like, oh, that's kind of a spoiler. No. Okay. This will also be the last time we see Doyle in the opening credits. I'm assuming it was just an issue of them not having enough time to shoot like a new opening sequence without Doyle in them.
Oh, that's true. Just with that sort of stuff.
Yes. Is there any other... Okay, so international titles time.
Yes, yes.
Nothing terribly interesting. In German, it translates as the parting gift, and in French, it's parting gifts. Alrighty. So, if there's nothing else about this episode, okay. Next week, there. Ooh. Ooh.
The ooh.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to try to pronounce this episode title correctly, but I might bollocks it up. I think it's pronounced... Oh, God. Somnambulist. It's Somnambulist. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's the next episode we're watching. Angel worries that he might be sleep killing. Angel worries that he might be sleep killing when a string of murders turn out to be identical to his dreams. And just for a little bit of fun, what were the top 5 shows in America this week? At the number 1 spot, we have ER with 29.15 million viewers.
That makes sense.
Number 2, Frasier with 28.54.
Yeah, that also makes sense.
At number 3, NFL Overrun at 23.5 million. At number 4, we have Friends with 22.43 million.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
And at number 5 is a show I've never heard of, but was apparently a huge hit in like 99. It's called Stark Raving Mad with 20.85 million viewers. I am absolutely have no idea what this show was. And it only apparently lasted 1 season. Weird.
The thing that happens occasionally.
Yeah, but you would assume that if you're getting 20 million viewers that you would be renewed. They're the number 1 show in America this week. I figured they would have been something bigger. Anyway, if there's nothing else, that will do it for this week. I've been Paul.
And I've been Dave.